Sigma males are individuals who have the traits of both an alpha and a beta. They are not pleased with merely following the example of others, yet they also don't need to be in command all the time. This might make them appear complicated to read and even challenging to interact with at times. While Sigmas may be misinterpreted by many, there are certain reasons why they frequently ignore you. Number 1. They're not impressed by you. Sigma males are not usually impressed by many, regardless of who they are. They have high expectations and don't grant their approval easily, which may make them look unapproachable or even judgmental. Perhaps they just don't place much faith in what other people say, while some individuals are easily attracted by wealth, power, or artificial breasts. Sigma males might care less about those kinds of things. They would much prefer to be around someone honest and true. Attempting to impress a Sigma is just like attempting to pull water from a rock. It's very difficult. They aren't concerned about materialistic things or superficial things, which is why they might often come off as indifferent to others. Of course, there are moments when Sigma males are impressed by a person or something. Yet this is normally because they have done something which they appreciate. For example, Sigma can be impressed by an individual who has overcome a difficulty or achieved something amazing. They would prefer someone who can motivate them over someone who is trying to impress them. Sigma men can read people extremely well and they can see through any efforts of praise or deception. Their detector is very powerful and they can point out a traitor from a mile away. While some individuals might just be effectively carried in by sweet words or false promises, Sigmas are not so easily deceived. They would rather cope with the painful reality than be lied to. Number 2. They are recharging. Sigma males require time for themselves to recharge, and they may frequently be spotted going to their cave. Their requirement for alone time might make them look distant or even chilly, but it's just how they operate, whereas some people are emotional butterflies and require continuous exposure to people. Sigmas are the absolute opposite. They obtain their energy by being alone and feel suffocated when they're surrounded by people for too long. This is why Sigmas may frequently be seen in nature or in their own houses. They require time to themselves to refresh their minds and recharge. They are not the type of people who will be happy in a crowded pub or club. They would rather be in a quiet place where they can rest and think. While some individuals would consider this urge for alone time a negative, it's really a useful thing. This is the right opportunity for them to focus on their lives. Whenever they find out whatever they want, this is the time they're ready to be their most productive and innovative. While others are out celebrating, Sigmas are generally the ones arranging things. The word recharge may seem a little funny to other people, but to Sigma men it's essential they take time for themselves. They will rapidly feel stressed out and overwhelmed. While a Sigma is recharging, they aren't really sitting around doing nothing. Instead, this is an important activity for them and it's crucial for their well-being. Number 3. They don't trust you. Sigmas are highly guarded and they don't believe lightly. They have been burned in the past and are not going to let it occur again. Such wariness might make them look dishonest, but they just don't accept everything at face value, whereas other individuals can be willing to believe what others say. Sigmas are the total opposite. They're never going to accept your word for it. They must see it for themselves. This mistrust may often cause them to feel like they're rejecting or questioning everything. However, this is simply their protection mechanism. They don't want to be cheated off or mistreated again, so they're not likely to just let their guards down easily. If they sense even the tiniest hint of bullshit, they're going to ignore you. Sigmas take time to become familiar with someone before being able to totally trust them. They must see that person in many circumstances, and they must be convinced that they can be trusted. It takes time for Sigma to trust somebody, but when they do, they're involved for the long term. They're not going to simply up and quit at the initial type of issue. If Sigma trusts you, they will be devoted and trustworthy and want the same in return. They will also have your back through and through. They may not express it to the public, but they will surely be available to you whenever you need them. Number 4. They are lost in thought. Sigma males are quite introverted and sometimes become lost in their own thoughts. This might make them look distant, but it's simply how they work. They're constantly thinking about something, and they're continuously striving to figure things out, whereas other people could consider this a strange thing. It's just how they're capable of resolving issues and coming up with something new. They're constantly thinking about what might be and how situations could be improved. Their thoughts are always racing and they are continually trying to create connections. When you speak to a Sigma when they're lost in thought, they could not even hear you. They're so caught up in their own ideas that they shut out the world around them. This might be annoying for some, but it's not personal, it's simply how they work. The greatest thing to do when you're speaking to Sigma and they appear distant is to give him a moment to gather their ideas. Obviously, they don't do this intentionally, but it's simply how their mind works. They like to analyze everything and constantly strive to make sense of things. Sigma men are not the kinds of individuals who can simply switch their brains off, they're usually thinking even though they do not wish to be. Number 5. They're not interested in your drama. Sigmas despise anything that produces extra stress or drama in their lives, they want to keep things simple and don't enjoy dealing with controversy. This doesn't imply that Sigma males are frightened of confrontation, but that they would prefer to address conflicts in a calm and reasonable way. They do not see the sense in getting worked up about something that can be simply resolved. Their desire for quiet and peace frequently makes Sigma look indifferent or even disdainful of others. However, they just don't want to spend their time on meaningless disagreements and drama. Although some individuals may prefer being at the center of the action, Sigmas would much rather remain on the sidelines. They would rather watch and evaluate a situation before becoming involved. This helps them to make more intelligent decisions, making them look disconnected from the circumstances. They don't need to be a part of anything in order to comprehend it. This is why they typically disregard the drama and commotion that surround them, it's just not worth their time or effort, whereas alpha males prefer to be in the forefront and seek attention. Sigmas prefer to be in the background, they would rather stay out of the spotlight and let others take the lead. This doesn't imply that Sigma guys are shy, they don't find the desire to be the center of attention at all times. They're quite comfortable going under the radar and enjoying a more limited lifestyle, which may sometimes cause them to feel invisible, but this is precisely what they require. Number 6. Too many boring people. Sigma males frequently find themselves in social circumstances when they are surrounded by individuals that simply don't interest them, whether it's a professional event or a party. They frequently find themselves getting bored out of their minds. This is because Sigmas are highly choosy with their social connections. They just want to be with people with whom they can have fascinating conversations. If they are not stimulated psychologically, they will rapidly grow bored. This is why Sigma males frequently prefer interacting in small groups or one-on-one situations. They want to have a detailed conversation without being concerned about engaging in small talk. Sigmas frequently feel that they don't match the rest of the planet. This is because they're constantly looking for something better. They want to discover their position in the world and would like to find people wiser than them. The issue is that most people are comfortable with mediocrity, they're not looking for anything better in life and are content to merely go through the motions. Something which Sigma males would never comprehend. Performing the same thing again and again is simply not fascinating to them. Number 7. You're too critical despite your own flaws. We are usually good at pointing out the flaws in others, but we are blind to our own. The world is full of these types of people, and we all know one. They are the individuals who are ready to point out your faults but are never prepared to accept their own. Sigma men can't tolerate this type of person and will immediately disregard them. These people are simply seeking to generate arguments and are not interested in having meaningful discussions. We should first look in the mirror and then condemn others. It's easy to condemn the person next to you, but it requires far more effort to look at oneself objectively and realize your own flaws. Once you're able to accomplish this, you'll notice that we all have faults and that no one is perfect. We're all just humans trying to achieve the best we can. Number 8. In order to be polite. Occasionally, Sigma males ignore you since they don't want to be disrespectful. They might not even be engaged in how much you have to say, but they don't need to come off as disrespectful by stopping you or interrupting you. Being nice is essential to them, so they would rather ignore you than insult you. If you're seeking to start arguing with a Sigma guy, you're likely to have a very difficult time. They are experts at self-control and they hardly lose their temper. They would always rather simply leave and ignore you. They'll then engage in a heated disagreement, so if you're looking for a fight, you'll be left alone. Well, that is all for the video. If you find it helpful, consider subscribing and sharing it with your friends.